Morning, everyone. Just 1 second. I got to get the OBS stuff going as well. Google Hangout, properties, select region. I could just do the whole window. It'd probably be easier. Yeah, right. Let's see how that looks. Preview. Good enough. Alright, make sure I got the right audio, because I'm sure I got screwed up. No, that's actually correct. Alright, streaming. Alright, stream is live as well. Morning, everyone. This is us. It is OotiniCast episode 226, being recorded on 30th of September, or 1st of October, depending on where you are in the world. It's actually 1st of October for Charlie too, only just though. For me it's 9:45 in the morning. Shit, wow. I can hear myself. Yeah, I was watching the Twitch screen somewhere. Alright. Just the usual warning, this is the raw version of the show, all flubs and screw-ups and whatever left intact. The edited MP3 will be audio perfection. Well, perfection. What we're going to be covering today is, well, not much really to live up to the imagination because we just got finished watching the live stream. So we'll be talking about that. Alright, Chill, are you recording? I believe you said you were.
Yes, Audacity is running.
Alright, Charlie, are you recording?
I am indeed.
Let me tweet
test.
For once. I will actually remember. Alright, there it goes. Force level syncing is a terrible idea. I already did this content at level. Don't force me to have to do it again when farming. Yes. Well, we'll be talking about that. I suspect the issue of level sync will be somewhat, shall we say, polarizing. I'm actually still not sure how I feel about it, but we'll see. Alright, Chill, you ready to go?
I am ready. I will get us going here.
Charlie, did you say you were recording?
Yeah, I'm recording, yeah.
Alright, sorry. Let's go.
Alright, going in 5. Hi, and welcome to the OotiniCast. It's a Sith legend. This is episode 226, being recorded on Wednesday, September 30th, 2015. I'm your host, Chill, with our producer and co-host, Tio. Hi, Tio.
Hey, guys.
And our guest today is Charlie Kranatoko. So how you doing, Charlie?
I feel ill a little bit. Only because I went to a convention, and as conventions usually go, you go there and you sometimes come back with an illness.
Yes.
It doesn't happen all the time. When I went to the same convention last year, I was fine. But the year before that, I came home with tonsillitis. So it varies depending on what you get. But I've done absolutely nothing in SWTOR, only because I have been at a convention. But the convention I've been at is EGX. It's a popular video game convention in the UK. So I saw some really good things. The Battlefront was obviously there, but I didn't play it, even though I probably could have, because I met up with the new EA UK community manager, I believe he was called, and he gave me like a pass to skip the queues. So if I wanted to, I could have skipped the queue for Battlefront, but because I'd already played the alpha and the beta is coming up next week anyway, I gave it to someone else. So it was fine. Obviously, with the ticket, I was able to actually play Plants vs. Zombies, Need for Speed, and Mirror's Edge as well. So I played Mirror's Edge before I gave the ticket away, which was pretty cool. One of the best things I saw there was the HTC Vive, and I will say, if anyone ever gets to try that, you will be amazed. It is better than Oculus.
It's the VR
Steam,
thing. Okay.
The Steam VR. Yeah, it's way better than Oculus. In my personal opinion, I managed to try Elite Dangerous with that, and whoa, that is really something.
Cool.
It's absolutely amazing, phenomenal. When I got home, played whilst I was ill. Obviously, I played a little bit of Lego Dimensions before deciding to go to bed because I couldn't play being ill. But fortunately, the worst part of me being ill has passed, and I'm feeling a bit better. But as you can probably tell, my voice is probably a little bit croaky, so I apologise if I sound croaky or a bit wheezy throughout the podcast. I will try my best to not. And I tried a little bit of Star Wars Uprising, not much, only because it feels like one of those games I really need to concentrate on. It's not one of those typical mobile games you could play for like a few minutes. Maybe if you're doing like the other stuff, but if you want to get into the story, you really have to dedicate yourself to it, and I just haven't right now. Maybe I will at some point. So, yeah, that's all I've really been doing this week.
Very good. All right, Tio, how about your week?
I've also played a little bit of Star Wars Uprising on the train coming home last night for the first time, and
oh, good.
Yeah, it's all right. I'll probably get into it. Just takes time, really. So
it's good for commutes. So
now we did actually raid last week, and I'm completely blanking on what we actually did.
I was not able to come because, as it turned out, I had a son's school thing going on. So I have no idea what you guys did.
I'm pretty sure we went through explosive conflict. Yeah, there was a lot of that. Oh, okay. Let me just run through it. So we started with doing the second boss in 8-man Karaga's Palace story mode, because for whatever bizarre reason, even though we were 4 or 5 on the first, third, fourth, and fifth bosses in Karaga's Palace story mode, we hadn't got the second one, so we just went and did that. Then we decided to do explosive conflict, which was 16-man Nightmare, I believe. At least no, we did Nightmare. Sorry, we did explosive. I really should have written this shit down. We noticed, we're just going through our achievements and seeing the ones we did not have. We did not have 16-man story mode explosive conflict, so we just blew through that.
Oh, I'll bet, yeah.
Yeah, so that was easy enough.
How many people did you even use to do it?
There were just the 7 of us. 6 of us? 6 or 7. It wasn't very many.
Yeah.
Everyone was there except for you, Chill, so
Good.
It was easy enough. Now, aside from that, I have actually been playing, believe it or not. So I have my personal mission to get those McKeb achievements sorted out. Last week I finished the Republic one. So this week I did the almost all. I've just got one element of one of the achievements remaining to do, and then I'll get the Imperial side as well. So that's all done. And in the meantime, I got to Legend with the McKeb Imperial Forces, which apparently I hadn't, or the McKeb reputation. Who would have believed it? Now, I did want to mention that when I was doing that, there was a particular heroic on the Empire side, which was infinitely more annoying than anything on the Republic side. Specifically, it's this one part of it is you fight your way in, there is a room, you interact with the console, and then there are 4 panels around the room. The room fills with poisonous gas. You have a fixed amount of time to interact with all 4 panels. Now, it is a heroic 4, so with 4 of you, it'll obviously be easy. With 1 of you, you've got to get to all the panels. And, my God, I did that so many times. But what was really annoying is if you screw it up, it throws you back to the entrance and all the mobs respawn. So you've got to fight your way through again and try it again and again. And I had a few suggestions from people. For example, use your... God, Cortana just popped up. I had some suggestions from people, including using your heroic moment, using Unity, which will make sure you take 50% less damage, that kind of thing.
Right.
All of that did help. Use your HOTS, obviously, if you've got them. I was doing this on my Sage. I was doing this on my Sork. And, yeah, but it turned out it was just a matter of timing, really. And with Australian latency, I'd almost finished that last panel when I died, even though the cast had finished it. Yeah, I did finally get it, obviously, but... yeah,
painful.
That was yeah. Anyway, my other goals are to finish the agent story, which I'm going to do because we now know there's a good reason to have all your class stories finished. Well, actually, we'll get to that in the live stream stuff.
Okay.
And I also, it turns out, have to finish Psyos, etc. on any character I haven't already if I want to do the Kotfi story. Again, we'll talk about that soon. We don't have to, but as a completionist, I would like to do that.
Right.
Anyway, that's my week. Over to you, Chill.
All right. First, a shout out to the chat room, and yeah, lots of people on. I'm sure some good number of them watched the SWTOR stream as well. Let's see. Barbed Wire Jones, Bronson, Beware 2, Darth Brundlefly, DreadX, Dragonblade 150, Drumaz, Elion D, Force Chuckle, Fraxis, Pot 5, Galen 65, Goramix, Granite Paladin, Higster, 01, Cowie, I'm going to pronounce that, I guess, Iron Weakness, Jagged Fell, Jazzy Cat, Jedi Knight 3420, Joss Fan, Kranitoko is here, Luck 9734, hello Charlie, Mix Up Pixels is here from the Geek Podcast, Merlin Palace, Resin, Siskaitska, Strick 83, Sukaiberu, Sundrake, Swotor Addict, Trig PT, and Zamzam, the PvPer. They're all here. Hello, everyone. Over this last week, I upgraded to Windows 10, and a few weird things aside, like having to update my Nostromo, and Edge not being able to play Hangouts, and a few weird things like that. It seems to be pretty good. Definitely plays Swotor and the few other games that I play quite well. I didn't notice any real upgrades. I guess some people have actually seen, frame rates go up. I didn't really notice that, but certainly not a downgrade, so that's always good. So
remember,
did a couple of
they're watching you.
Yeah. Did a couple of streams, and both of them I was working the McKeb staged weekly. I'm just starting out, unlike Tio, so I'm gonna have to hustle to make sure I get it done before everything drops. It takes quite a long time, and I think without the sort of push of streaming it and actually having people to talk to and just sort of the social pressure of actually doing it, since I'm already on stream, I think it would actually be really hard for me to push myself to do this. So because they feel like dailies, and I'm just not a dailies guy. So, but I do want to get it all done before they go away. And actually, there was a few interesting moments. There was a couple of funky Empire Side ones where the description was not quite right, or the place on the map was not quite right of where things were. I had to kind of Google a couple of them to figure out what the heck was going on. There's also one bonus that was really cool where you end up having to go on top of a roof and stuff, and it's kind of like Datacron hunting. It's kind of neat. Anyway, so that was fun. I'm also starting the planning for the trip next week to the New York SWTOR Cantina. And as you know, this is all in relation to the podcast, so please send me questions you'd like me to ask the developers. You can email me, chill@OotiniCast.com, or if you want to use Twitter, it's @BrandonL_Star. And either way, I'm going to be taking questions to ask folks. And of course, with the stream, we've got a lot of new information that might spur a bunch of new questions. So, and that's only 1 week away. And I'm looking at the timing. It looks like I probably will be able to record next week. But basically, I'm going to be recording and then heading out the door to take a flight. So it's going to be quite a day. All right, so that will bring us to the tip of the week, and we've got 6 of them this week. Why don't you start us off, Tio?
Our first tip is from Seth Eldar, and he says, another quick tip this week, again regarding the GTN. I've heard lots of people discussing the GTN, and their prices fluctuate a lot, and it is hard to sell something valuable at a consistent price point. That's a free market for you. This is even more apparent now that 4.0 is fast approaching, but do not despair. I'm sure Bill has mentioned this previously, so I apologize if I'm repeating his sage advice, but I thought it was worth mentioning again. The GTN can be divided into 2 distinct sales windows. I found through my research that Friday evening through Monday morning is one window, and Monday afternoon through Friday afternoon is the other. What actually creates these 2 distinct windows is simple economics. That is, the actual number of buyers and sellers with a greater number over the weekend. The upshot of this is that if you want to get a higher price for something, then sell during the midweek window, as there is less seller competition. You may find you have to relist once or twice because there's a reduced number of buyers, but patience is definitely the key. Obviously, you can also try and hunt down bargains at the weekend and resell during the week. The above should still be relevant once 4.0 drops, although the market may go crazy for the first month or so, which is normal post-expansion. All good advice.
All right.
And your mileage may vary depending upon your server, but yeah.
Yes, your mileage may vary. All right, tip 2 from Deuter. I'm going to guess at the pronunciation. That looks German, right? Deuter? Sort of like
Deuter.
that?
Yeah.
Deuter from the Shadowlands. I like it. Listening to the report of your guildmates getting groups together to run the operations boss on Ilum for the Gree event, it was stated that some of the newer players were not able to access the Grey Sea Camp due to not having enough reputation. To avoid this situation next time, the operations leader can use the guild ship to allow everyone in the operations group to gain access, whether they have the reputation or not. I can confirm this works, as we did so multiple times during the last Gree event. Have fun and enjoy your last weeks before the expansion. Thank you, Deuter.
I'm pretty sure we've actually done that. I completely forgot about it. I know this was Suki's group who were running that. So, yeah, it's good advice. All right, our third tip is from La Kimba on the Harbinger. For the macro binocular daily quest on Ziost, or Zoist, you can scan all 5 objects from one location. Go to coordinate 898 by 348. And you can easily scan 4 of the 5 locations, both trees, the rock statue, and the nearby building. The 5th location is quite far away, but if you have the right touch with your mouse, you can scan that one too. I've only been able to get all 5 from that spot one time, as the far one is a bit tricky. If I'm not able to get the last one, it is no big deal. I just do the speeder quest, and that finishes up right in front of the 5th objective anyway, and it is an easy scan. Thanks for the show. I look forward to it each week. Well, thank you, Lakimba.
Right,
I really need to do those Zoist dailies at some point.
Ah, yes.
One day.
I haven't done them a lot. I think I've done them like once or twice, but yeah, that's...
It's kind of like with every daily area. They're alright for a little while, but then you just get bored.
Yeah.
Especially daily Zoist, which is...
It's just a grey area, and you just get tired of looking at it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
All right, 4th one is from Natkus. I'm going to guess at the pronunciation. Natkus writes, being a completionist, I really wanted to get all the 1,000 kill achievements on all my companions on all 8 classes, so I looked for a quick and easy way to do these. That's 40,000 kills we're talking about, not counting Treek and HK. Even though I already had most of them finished by simply using my companions while leveling, there are still some missing on the companions I didn't use very often, so here's the tip. Enter the flashpoint called Colicoid War Games with your companion and get in on one of the turrets. If you're level 60 and in Zyos Gear 190, you should be able to kill at least 100 mobs before they kill you. This will create only about 4,000 credits of repair costs, and you can do it as often as you like. If your companion is a healer, or if you are a tank with good defense, you will probably even finish the turret phase and can go on to the second turret phase, in which case you can kill about 500 mobs in a couple of minutes. I finished all the achievements I was still missing in one evening this way. Very
wow, that's so cool.
Very clever.
I don't know if that's exactly intended. Presumably, well, you do get a lot of those beasties coming out attacking you, and usually there's 4 of you on all 4 turrets. So, but
and
it's
the
just
turrets
you.
are a lot stronger than the characters at that level. Yeah,
Exactly. Yep. Very cool.
But yeah, I could see at 190 maybe you can kind of power your way through it. Yeah, and the other way, the slower way, is like if you're doing operations, just make sure that you occasionally change the companion that you actually have quote-unquote out, because even though they won't be visible in the raid, you actually get credit. So that's how I've been slowly getting them on my characters.
Indeed. And I have no idea where I am on that one. I should check that.
I'm pretty far away, I think, yeah.
All right, next tip is from our old friend Junadai, also known as Toby. And he says, for anyone still working on the McKeb achievements and struggling with the Heroic 2 false history on the imp side, this is the one I mentioned earlier, fear not, as I have a solution for you. At least I think it is. Yes, it is. I had issues with this quest even when I got the timing right due to my tunes on the imp side having subpar gear. The solution is actually pretty simple. You need a minimum of 50,000 health to survive. Well, when I say survive, I mean complete the quest. You may still die, of course, horribly in a cloud of toxic gas, but you will get credit. In the end, I managed to beat this with mostly 186 gear and some augments, a fortitude stim, the geosite planetary buff, and a pimped out Treek using the legacy ability Sacrifice on her after clicking the 3rd terminal.
Right,
which
so
I don't have access to.
That's right, Unity at first, and then if you have to, Sacrifice. Okay.
I don't have Sacrifice because I haven't finished the Agent class story, so I haven't got all 4. which I will get to. After that first trap room, it's plain sailing and just a bit of hitting those terminals fast and sometimes repeatedly until you light up that terminal at the end of the room. There you go. Thank you, Dino Die. I wish I'd read this before I beat my head against it, but I got through it too, so I never want to do it again, though.
All right, and the sixth tip is from Knight. Hey guys, this is Knight from the Harbinger. I didn't do it this time, but I'm trying to work on having shorter tips, I promise. And there's an audio clip.
Should we play it, or should we just include it in the live show, in the final show?
Depends. It's up to you.
I know
if
a
you
lot
want
of
to give
people...
like the lowdown on what the tip was, that'd be cool.
That would require me to have listened to it.
Okay, fair enough.
All right, let's...
If it came in recently.
Oh, I wouldn't say that. All right, here we go. VLC.
Hello, OotiniCast. This is Knight from the Harbinger, and here's my tip of the week. This tip is going to help out stealthers and those defending nodes from stealthers in war zones, especially in hypergates, and has to do with sap caps. Now, when you're defending a node, there are some classes that are just inherently better at guarding than others, particularly vanguards, sages, and the two stealth classes, scoundrels and shadows. Classes that aren't really good at guarding nodes, in most cases, will be guardians, sentinels, gunslingers, and commandos. The reason for this is the other four classes have a lot more utility that can be used when defending nodes. For example, the two stealth classes, but the biggest thing is they're in stealth, so they can't be surprised while they're guarding a node in most cases, and they're given a little bit extra time to call out incomings when they need to, plus they have utilities to keep enemies from capping before they even come out of stealth. Sages, because they have basically two stun breaks. They have the first stun break and then force bubble, which will break the stun so they can't get sap cap really easily. And then vanguards, because they have the shoulder cannon. So even if they are getting stunned, they can still interrupt the cap with their shoulder cannons. They don't have to worry about that. The other classes don't really have that utility, and yes, commandos do have their little stealth scan, and gunslingers do have their little cone stealth visibility, but those are very easily countered and can't really be relied on all the time. So, those are classes you can use to defend against sap caps, the one I mentioned before, or the ones. Now, if you're going to sap cap, which is actually really easy on hypergates, and you can do it solo very easily, is you go up to a node that has someone guarding it, you go up to them, and you mez them from stealth. At this point, they'll either be stupid and break it immediately, which you'll just re-stun them or re-mez them and then start capping. And how this works is it takes 6 seconds for you to cap in hypergates, and your stun lasts 6 seconds. So you'll get the objective right before they end up breaking their stun, and they won't really be able to stop you. Now, if they're a little bit smarter, they'll just sit there stunned and wait for you to pop out of stealth. So they'll be stunned or mezzed, you'll pop out of stealth and start capping, and then they'll break it and try to stop you. In some cases, they might be able to do something to stop you, but, in some cases, but in most cases, what you'll do is you'll just, in combat stealth, mez them again real quick, come out of stealth and start camping. And again, 6 seconds, you'll have the objective right before he gets out of the stun. And this can come in real handy in hypergates because you can end up capping it at like 10 seconds when the round's over, and then you have a nice jump ahead of the other team. This could also work in the other war zones, but it's a little bit trickier to pull off because the cap time is 8 seconds instead of 6 seconds. So it's recommended to do it with the buddy at stealth as well as you. So you go up, one of you ends up being the one who stuns the other guy from stealth, the other one caps. So like if you're on Civil War, your buddy will go up and sap cap right as you come out of stealth and start capping while you're LOS'd from that person. He'll probably end up, if he's smart, he'll break it immediately and try to send out an AoE to that area of some sort to break your cap. But if your buddy's fast enough, he can just re-mez him from stealth, and he'll have to sit there for 6 more seconds, and it should have taken 2 seconds for all this to happen, and still you'll end up getting that objective. So anyways, that's my tip of the week, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day, afternoon, morning, night, wherever you might be in the world, and I'll see you around in the Harbinger. Alright, thanks. Bye.
All right.
Thank you, Notch.
Good tip there. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say I think he's giving gunslingers a little bit of short shrift there. Yes, you have the stealth thing, but you also have hunker down. Might be a little tricky to guard a node for for the full time, but what you can actually do with them is you can take that hunker down time, which is quite a bit, add 5 seconds to it, and hit your hunker down right then, and be a good long ways away from the actual node, just within range of your AoE damage. So even if you get sapped, you'll be out of it by the time they can actually run over there and cap. What you can also, like I say, the hunker down then also makes you immune to the sap. So even if there's like 2 of them working in concert, they actually will completely be unable to sap you in the last like 20 seconds of the match. They're a little squishy, gunslingers are, so pretty rough if 3 minutes, but just a node for any sort of long time. But if it's for a short amount of time, like in Ancient Hypergate, you can really have a nice long immune time, which is pretty powerful.
Should also mention that if you watch the Snaves on a Plane video that we mentioned last week, Snave demonstrates the whole sap capping thing in a few times. Mm-hmm. It's a beautiful thing to watch, terrible thing to experience.
Yes, if you're guarding a node, if at all possible, stand like a few seconds away from it, just close enough that if they are like trying to count on you having your camera turned away, and they're just going to try to, just cap, assuming that you're not looking the right way, that you can run over there and just stop them. So, if you're standing right on top of it, you can get sap capped. So, all right. Anyway, by random allotment, the winner is Natkus. So, congratulations, Natkus. You're the winner of an M8 3R droid, or Tonfon pet code, courtesy of BioWare, and a OotiniCast provided cartel market pack from the latest shipment. If you'd like a chance to win the same, please send your tips to OotiniCast@gmail.com by next Tuesday. And that will bring us to the holofeed. Tio?
All right, let's talk about the SWOTOR livestream. We'll lead with what occurred literally hours ago. It was 2 to 4 p.m. Pacific on Wednesday, not long before we recorded this. And it was pretty much just Eric Musco, community manager, playing through Knights of the Fallen Empire in terms of basically demonstrating some stuff. So, what he started with was the same thing that was played through at TwitchCon, which was the first part of Chapter 1, The Hunt. He was playing on a Jedi Knight, he played through up to the point, and we are not going to spoil anything, so fear not, up to the point where you are asked whether you want to kneel, and they've revealed that so many times that we know it's a point where Valkorion says, "Will you kneel to me?" And we don't know what happens after that. But there's a bunch of stuff that happens before that, including one especially interesting part, which I, again, won't mention, but really? Surely not. But we'll get there once you play it yourself. Remember, it's coming up soon. Knights of the Fallen Empire goes, early access starts 20 October with Game Update 4.0, released for everyone on 27 October.
I can only imagine that even though they cut off the story bit when it got to the kneel bit, there must be something like dramatic after that. I mean, I know it's probably what people are thinking, but there's people who are saying, "Oh no, they probably won't allow you to really kneel," but they're really hyping that up. So there must be something dramatic. I think you might be right. All right, moving on. So what he demonstrated was playing through that on an Insta-60. So he created himself a level 60 character. He stepped through the character creation screen, and I gotta say, it's looking very spiffy. They have really made it look far fancier than it did before. So just generally, character creation is different and better, though the actual content of it is pretty much the same. It's just a lot prettier.
There is now a recommended discipline, so that when you're creating your level 60, you have to. You are recommended the discipline to choose. For example, for the mercenary. Actually, yeah, you played it through on the mercenary. For the mercenary, it was the arsenal, which is considered the easier of the two DPS specs. So it'll always be a DPS, will be recommended. Of course, you can choose whatever you like. There's no actual limitation there. It's, again, just for players who are jumping in with their Insta-60, just help streamline them through.
Right.
But again, you can do whatever you like. You mentioned character cap. He mentioned that the maximum number of characters you can have per server is currently 22 if you have your default 12 plus your 10 unlocks, which you can get through the character unlocks on the Kato market, is going to be increased to like 40 or 50 characters per server.
Your old characters might actually all be unlocked to you, or at least unlockable.
Unlockable, which means I would have to buy all those character unlocks to actually get them for real.
And that's a lot. They'll be on the GTN as well, so, as always.
So, if you were concerned that you filled up all of your character slots with 12 times XP characters, fear not. All you need is a bit of cartel coins or even credits. If you get them off the GTN, you'll be able to open up a lot more slots. Hurrah.
I wonder if the free-to-play cap is going to be increased as well, because I'm pretty sure that you only get a certain amount when you're free-to-play, so will they allow you to have more characters, perhaps?
That's a good question. Probably less default characters, free slots, but I would not imagine they would stop you spending money, because that would be kind of against... that's the whole point of the exercise, remember? So I guess we'll see. Now, when you start at Insta-60, you are given a bunch of Bound to Legacy gear, and everything except for relics are Bound to Legacy. So you can actually, if you like the look, you can give them to other characters, obviously. Just keep them, or add them to the outfit designer, whatever. The gear is all item level 188, so not that special, but probably okay compared to what we started with. It's... you're roughly your bottom level of level 60 gear. Because as you know, you could buy a 186 gear with basic comms, 119 with Elite, and 198 with Ultimate. And it hasn't actually gone above 198, except for that main hand from the Colossal Monolith. But yeah, so you actually start off with a decent set of gear. Now, this was interesting. They asked, do you have... and we speculated about this previously, would you have had to have completed the story up to this point to actually get into Knights of the Fallen Empire? And the answer is no, you do not. You can just jump straight in. But once you start the Knights of the Fallen Empire story on a given character, you will not be able to go back and do the primary storylines. That is your class story. And the main storylines on Makeb, Rishi, Yavin 4 and Zyos, basically the expansion primary storylines. So anything that's story, the main story, all the side stuff, dailies, that's fine, but all of the main run-through story will basically be locked out to you forever if you haven't already finished it on that character, only that character. So that's good to know. I've barely done Zyos on anyone, so I'm probably going to have to... I will choose to do that. You don't have to, but I may choose to do that on the characters before I take them into coffee. Just so I have. Or not, depending on how sick of it I get. But anyway. Now, your Insta-60 gets appropriate crew skills, and they've chosen reasonably arbitrary, well, with some forethought, but you get the 3, and they're all max level, so they're all 500 out of 500. And yes, the crafting cap has not been increased. It is still only 500. There is not a new tier of crafting, but we'll talk more about that when Eric actually got to it in the stream. They showed us a companion screen. We've heard about it, but now we've actually seen it, where you can customize the appearance of most companions. And the example that they gave actually had pretty much no customization options. But that was just that particular companion. Most regular companions allow you to use all the gear slots to actually affect what they look like.
would have been nice if they maybe had the customization, which obviously you get for previous companions, but maybe on like the future companions as well. Might be a bit odd, like later on down the line, even though we're used to a certain look. But that kind of applies for when we get a companion in like the starting area. For example, if you get like Vet, you know, we're having to be used to her look for such a period of time, and then we get a customization to suddenly change it. Well, what if we sort of got that later on down the line in Knights of the Fallen Empire? Be interesting, at the very least.
I should also mention that they are including the customizations as a box, so you can just, as it is now, so you can just throw that in.
Right.
Sorry, I'm trying to do two things at once. Where were we? As an example of limited customization, he showed us T7, the droid companion for the Jedi Knight, and he's only got the character customization for T7, where you can actually change his overall appearance and the main hand. Whereas a regular character such as Mako, which he showed us later, had all of the gear slots except for ear plant, implants, and offhand, which don't affect their appearance, and no relics, because companions never had relics, but you still had the customization box.
Teal, where Switcher Addict is asking, for Mako, was that like a stamp thing, like costume designer, or was he actually throwing the gear in there?
From what I saw, the gear was actually put in there. So we were speculating that companion gear, you could actually use your companions to actually, as a clothes horse, to actually store your gear if you weren't actually wearing it. Looks like that may actually be possible, but until we see it in first up, I mean, for reals, we can't tell for sure.
It looked like that way to me too, but I'm a little leery of being very definite since I was watching on my phone on a bus.
I don't think we ever saw him drag gear off the character, so...
Yeah.
Now, he showed us how you actually change their role between healer, tank, and DPS. It's simply right-clicking on the portrait and choosing from a little menu. Really easy. He did mention that you cannot change their role during combat, though, which was interesting.
Right. So if you're having them tank and then all of a sudden you'd rather them heal, you can't do that.
Yeah. Now, we also talked about the Yavin 4 gear, which we can get from our companions, as you know, just by finishing the main story and doing the round of the dailies. You will get that box with a set of complete set of companion gear, all slots. Currently bind a legacy, but is currently must be worn by the companion. They are letting us keep the gear and removing the companion restriction, except for the main hand, which basically means that we can actually wear the gear that we got from Yavin 4 for our companions, but we can't use the weapon. He just said weapon. I don't know if it's the offhand too. It may just be the main hand.
Trying to remember what that stuff looks like, but okay.
Yeah,
I guess you could use it just for stats and use it, And
it will remain bind to legacy, so you can just give it to whoever. And that's, as I've said before, if you lose a companion through the story or whatever, its gear will be mailed to you. He just mentioned that in passing, did not demonstrate it. So it was asked whether the original gear our companions were wearing when we first encountered them, and for all of us pretty much, we dumped that a long time ago, since we actually did have to upgrade the gear for them to be effective. Can you get that original gear? And the answer was not with the launch of coffee, but it's something the team would love to put in.
Okay.
So that'd be nice. He mentions, as we know, subscribers will get Knights of the Fallen Empire when it goes live. And we'll get all previous X-Packs unlocked. So that's good to know as well.
That's really cheap.
Yeah.
I mean, if
so
you're like
for
new to the
$15,
game,
you get it all. $15,
exactly.
Everything unlocked. Yeah.
Yeah. Great time to be picking up the game, actually.
Now, the reason to have all your class stories done is they have added something called Legend status, just for completing all 8 class stories. It's basically just a perk. It gives you a little... look like a little golden icon next to your character's name that's floating above your head, just to show that it appears to be purely just a cosmetic thing.
Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, it's cute. So anyway, that's my reason for having to complete the agent class story, so I've got them all. He showed us a new type of companion. It was an act dog in this case. These things are only available through cartel packs, or if you buy them off the GTN. They are combat companions, so effectively fully capable in combat,
Wow.
but you can't use them to sell trash,
I
and
hardly ever
they don't have
remember to do that
stories.
anyway.
Yeah,
They
I
don't have
really
stories.
remember myself. Yep.
I love
They don't have
Act.
stories.
That's really cool though. This must have been right before I came onto the stream because that sounds really cool. I have to see that. Act dogs are like my favorite pets, so I'll have to check that out for the companion.
Yeah. And I assume you can't send them off on missions either. So these are just alternate companions you can use in combat, which is kind of cool. Yeah.
I was kinda hoping
I
they
didn't
were
see
gonna
this
add,
one
like,
coming, so
I want to
cool.
see
I was
him
kinda
craft.
hoping
You
they
know.
were gonna add like a sort of different sort of set of missions, which maybe they could do. I don't know
Right.
something. Maybe like a
Fetch.
hunting. Yeah, something like
The
that.
same thing. Fetch, Act Dog. Yep. All right, the interface editor has got some love, and it looks pretty good. Basically, they've added a whole lot of grid lines, and you can adjust the size of the grid. So when you're positioning all your things on your interface, you can know, and you're anal retentive, you can actually, we have OCD, you can make sure everything is perfectly lined up, which is
Okay.
awesome. And also, it has a snap to grid option, which is something you can check on or off, just to make it that much easier. If you don't want to fiddle with your mouse, you can
Right.
actually just use that to make it easier. So that's just win. It's just fantastic quality of life right there. Now, they'd already talked about the key binding import and export. They talked about that. We talked about that last week. They just showed us the interface, which was basically just a blank window. It's an extra tab in your preferences. You know, where you've got your key bindings on the bottom and GSF key bindings. There's a new one for the import export.
Nice.
Easy enough. And then he showed us something kind of fancy. Temporary ability bars.
Yes, I saw this.
Now, the example he
love
gave
this.
was heroic moment's been changed. Its cooldown is now 10 minutes from, I believe it's 20 minutes now. When you activate it, a brand new bar pops up as an extra action bar, and hopefully you'll be able to position where that turns up with the interface editor. He didn't show us that. But it showed us the 8 legacy abilities that you get, and the way these work, they are all accessible while your heroic moment was active. Actually, no, they can't be. They must have just kept on.
He said twice per heroic moment, basically.
So each of those 8 abilities could be used twice. They did have quite a long cooldown, you could see, but you basically got to use each one twice. So you do your heroic moment, the action bar pops up, the 8 abilities appear. You can click each one twice before they're no longer available. And he made a point to say this temporary ability bar thing was really cool, and they were going to make as much use out of it as they possibly could. So expect a lot of them. I think the other example he gave was throwing the hut ball will appear as a separate ability bar.
Yep, that's really cool. And he also mentioned that the heroic moment abilities are being rebalanced and tweaked so that the ones that are kind of weak right now will be a little bit more exciting to use. Yeah.
Yes.
Which is good.
And let's talk crafting. Yes, we finally know what's happened. A lot has changed. Except for the cap, it's still, as mentioned earlier, still 500. So you don't have to go and level that up this time. But they... sorry.
You had to get up early for the stream.
It was 7 a.m. and went for a full 2 hours. Yep. So they will be putting out a blog most likely next week explaining all the things that have changed. There is no longer different tiers. Remember with each expansion where they went from 400 to 450 and 450 to 400, there was an extra advanced crafting or whatever. That's all just gone. So it's all just the one big tier now. He ran through quite a few things. He mentioned that all the armor you can craft, if you're for one of the crafting crew skills, it's all blue now. There's no green stuff. So the idea is that the stuff that you craft will actually be useful to you. So it's all blue and it's all adaptive as well. So no longer limited to light, heavy, or etc. So you can always wear it, regardless. Apparently they've switched around who can craft what, which crew skill can craft what type of item, but they didn't go into any detail about that.
Okay. I'll have to learn that then.
Now, if you had old patterns, and a lot of the old patterns are no longer going to be purchasable to just make all kinds of gear, that will all go into an archive section, and you will thus they won't actually change the stats on that, though I assume everything will be changed to mastery. The reason to still craft that is for appearance. So some of that stuff will presumably... The only place you can get it is if you happen to have one of the archive patterns and be able to craft it.
Neat.
So it would behoove you to probably pick up a whole lot of crafting patterns if you haven't already, just in case they're gone forever, except for those who can make them. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Now, they've sort of squished all of the tiers. As you know, there's, like with the augments, it's up to MK10s, and just, those special things, special levels were in between MK11, 12, whatever. It's all been squished down to a simple 8 tiers. So the top level augments, I believe he said, would be MK8s, which are equivalent to MK10s, which we have now.
Okay.
So that's just, again, simplification. That seems to be the overall theme here with crafting. They have just simplified everything. What else? Apparently they've removed some materials from the game, gathering stuff, and they didn't say what. Again, the idea is that it's been simplified.
Yeah. They said, though, that you didn't have to worry about, like, selling it ahead of time or using it up or anything, that it would be replaced with usable crafting materials. Not gray sale items or any junk like that.
Now, gathering, the way they changed this, I believe they have alluded to this previously, as in nodes are no longer can you turn up on a planet and not be able to gather from your profession's node because your crafting skill is not high enough. Instead, the way it works is, on a given planet, the node will still have a level. If your crafting ability is a lot lower than that required by the node, you can still gather from it, but the amount of mats you get from it will be very low.
Right.
However, if your level is a great deal higher, you'll be able to gather from it and get a lot more mats. So that's kind of cool. That means if you, for a particular material on a particular planet, it will always be the same, from the same tier of crafting, but the amount you get is determined entirely by your crafting skill. So that's
pretty
really
clever.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah. And it'll be nice for when you're power leveling and you won't be able to outstrip the levels of your gathering at least.
Yeah.
That's. Is it just me, or does that, the way he was phrasing it with like a lot more materials and stuff like that, it seemed like maybe there'll be a lot more materials out there to get, but maybe it'll presumably also take more to actually make anything. Does that make sense?
Well, from the recipes he showed, each item still just required the 2 mats. And
really?
Yeah, there was some complex stuff that they added with these. There was the patterns that you could make, and then there were these component items that you could also craft, which would be used for... so I didn't really get how that worked. Yeah. I'm not sure what they were going with there. I guess we'll find out in that blog.
Okay.
And in missions, the missions you can send your companions out on. As you know, at the moment, whenever you log in, there's a random selection from that available at each tier. Now the list is complete, so you no longer will you have to sort of like fake it to reset the missions that are on display. Send off a few, reset it by zoning, and then get the ones you want and all that crap. All missions will be available at all times. This is a fantastic change. So I know Bill and other crafters have to cheese it, but no more. It's all good. Then he showed us the group finder. The UI has changed. It's like actually it does look a bit simpler and a lot cleaner now. I noticed Directive 7 was a tactical. I thought that was one of the ones that was missing when they showed us previously, but otherwise they're all there except for Colocoid War Games. That is still not on the list that I can see. And he also showed us the currency tab, which they talked about the renaming of Basic, Ultimate, or Basic, Elite and Ultimate commendations to Data Crystals, Common, Glowing and Radiant, while the comms are the same.
With all the same numbers, the same and everything.
I I think the caps are a bit different, because for glowing and radiant, the equivalent of elite and ultimate, they're now 500 per. I thought one of them, the ultimates are only 300 at the moment, and I thought elites were 400, so 500 for both.
So slight changes, but yeah, basically they're the same except for the look.
Yep. And there's no longer a weekly cap, so they want you to play as much content as you possibly can. So,
right.
the excellent. And then he talked through a few other random things. For example, in the guild window, you can now whisper people by right-clicking on their name.
Yay!
It's a
that
small
is so
thing,
nice.
but...
oh, no. That's really
God.
nice. Yeah.
If only they'd done this previously, but yes, thank you. Legacy Datacrons. Yes, they're a thing, and they are apparently retroactive, so you don't have to go and get them again if you've already got them at least once on some character.
Yep.
They are now legacy-wide. Yep.
So I'm now sure that I will actually go back and actually pick up all the rest of the Datacrons that I haven't, which are mostly, for me, the Presence ones and a few of the, like the yellow crystal type ones.
Right.
When I was looking at the tab as well, is that only you can? Well, I don't really know how it works at the moment, but I assume you would click on one and then it would apply for that character. Do you have to click on every single one, or what? I don't
Why do
really
you have
know.
to click? I thought it was just showing you the ones that you'd got. I should mention this. The tab for the Legacy Datacrons is organised by planet, and there is a separate icon showing for each Datacron, so you can easily see the ones that you've got. Oddly enough, Turg asked for something exactly like this. So it's presented in the perfect way for, certainly will make him happy.
Yeah.
So that is awesome.
Yeah,
I just remembered it
makes
was
me
under the,
happy, and I'm not even like that. I'm not into it in the way he is. So that's awesome. I can't wait.
Yeah, I just remembered it's under the global unlock. So yeah, no clicking, but yeah.
You can do speeder piloting from level 1 now.
Yay.
No longer limited to level 10. So yes, you can hop on your speeder right from the beginning. You don't have to rely on rocket boost for that to work. You just have to buy it. He showed us 2 new free legacy abilities available to all characters as soon as you log in Game Update 4.0. Activate Random Mount, Activate Random Pet. He demonstrated the Mount one. We thought for a second he was demonstrating BioWare's bizarrely streaky RNG because the same mount kept coming up, but it turned out he was just pressing on that mount, so
By
not really
accident.
surprised.
Really must go.
They work exactly the way you would expect. Every time you click it, you get a different mount or pet from your collection. There are 2 separate abilities.
I didn't notice if there was a way to like deselect 1 or 2 from the random choice. It didn't look like.
I didn't see that either.
Yeah,
it looks
so I
like
guess
it's just a full set.
Yeah, if you don't want a mount to come up from now on, you'll just have to not get that mount on that character.
Exactly. WoW has something like where you can select the mounts you want, but there's only like a certain amount you can have in like their random mount button.
That would be cool.
Which is kind of annoying.
Yeah.
Oh well,
still,
at least it's there.
Random
mount
is still fun. Yeah.
I can guarantee I'm never going to use it, but I'm sure some people will get a lot of fun out of it.
Oh, yeah.
All right, what else? Collections. He just showed us the interface. It changed. All the categories are now collapsed. This is just we're drowning in quality of life changes. Yep.
Yeah.
But there is one thing I did see, which obviously we'll come to probably later on, with the heroic missions. They're not collapsed. That's annoying.
Yeah, okay. So for the collections, there is now a text filter, so you can actually just type in the name and it will filter it down to that. And there's also something that will show you all the ones you've collected, so you can actually just narrow it down right to that, or just show the ones you haven't got yet. Fantastic.
And also, and being able to unlock items even if you're on a character that already has it, which is nice.
Yeah, so the normal way it worked was item was added to your collection. You had to switch to another character to unlock it for other characters. Now you can just do it on the character that has the item. Great. Now, they showed us event vendors up in the Cartel Bazaar on the fleets. And it looks like all of the event vendors are now there in one spot. And there's also a new vendor. On the imp side, it was Ambassador Kylie, who sells some new stuff, which, well, actually, it's mostly old stuff, including rewards from the Cheven event. which of the Grand Inquisition race, including Chill's favourite broken down speeder. You can now purchase it.
Which he kept calling it the Hirati Scraper, but I'm 99.9% sure, without even looking in the game, that it's actually the Hirati Scrapper. But he called it the Scraper. Either way, it pretty much scrapes bottom either way, but in the most wonderful way, and it's still my favorite speeder in the game. And by the way, now for a couple of patches, it does go 110% if you have it. And
it is now
there's nothing
adaptive.
quite like it. Yes, it's so wonderful. I love it.
You can also get the original Containment Officer gear from the original Rakghoul event, and you can get red sparkle powder. And all of this is purchasable using currency from the Rakghoul event, from the Gree event, and from Bounty Contract Week.
Right.
So
From
DNA
the newer
helixes, Grey
stuff.
helixes, and Bounty contracts. Yes, so
Which is
some
so
of
nice.
all of them. Yes, just a
Yeah.
way of burning those extra things if you've got them.
Yes, and Swifter Addict is confirming that I'm right. It's Hirati Scrapper.
There you go.
Which, yeah, that is my favorite. It sounded like it was actually one of, to be fair to Musco, it sounded like he really loved that one too.
All right.
That is really
Now-
cool, and it's so nice that you can get it now, because it was like, if you didn't happen to have the that one character during the Shevin event, like, there's no other way to get it, so it's so cool that you can get it now. Yeah,
It's
I'm
no
very
longer
happy.
exclusive. You don't
no
That's
longer
true,
exclusive.
That's true, but I don't want it exclusive. I want it on my other characters.
All right, now Core World Experience, talked a bit about that. 12 times XP, the Epic Story Boost has gone away. What they have intended you to do now, instead of just leveling through your class story, you level through your class story and the planetary story arc. So you have to do a bit more stuff, but
Right.
it's still pretty quick. Those missions are highlighted in purple in your mission log. They now have a different icon, and I took a screenshot showing the different icons now. And missions that are not class story or planetary story arc and are not heroics are designated as exploration missions and appear to be strictly optional. You do not need the XP from them, and it's unclear
Right.
whether the XP from them would be boosted. But they're there if you want to do them. But if you want to level from 1 through 50 at least on the original worlds, you just have to do class
The purple
story.
ones.
And planetary story, yes, the purple ones.
So yeah, not quite as presumably not quite as quick as just doing the 12 times XP, because that really was class only, and you really didn't need to do any of the
Yep.
other missions. So it'll be a little slower than 12 times, but it'll still be pretty quick.
Yep.
So it's pretty.
I
It's
kind
all
of want to
good.
know, with the exploration missions, how much they will push your experience, because obviously if you only need to do the class story and the primary planet missions, well, if that's all you really need to do, how far into your leveling will the exploration take you then? Are they amended
Well,
the experience?
From what he said, I think he's just mentioned this in passing, it was pretty much the same XP as they are now, so not enhanced. So it probably won't push you very far at all if you want to stop by and do them.
Wouldn't that make you a little bit underleveled then, once you completed the class story and the mission, planet mission? I don't know.
No.
Makes no sense
Why?
to me. It's a bit odd, because the class story. Because if you were to do the class story and the primary missions, would that have normally have got you through to the right level?
No,
to the
no,
next
they
planet?
boosted the XP for those, but the exploration missions, the rest, won't have boosted XP, I'm guessing.
Oh well.
Now, all the planetary heroics are available from a single terminal, rather than having to find the guys around the planet. And
Nice.
something he showed us later, for all heroics, and there is a single terminal in the fleet that shows every heroic on every planet, you get an option to travel there once you pick up the
That's
mission.
cool.
So, take you straight there. Couldn't be
Wow.
easier. Yeah.
Very nice. And because of the, what was the phrase where you level down?
Level sync.
Level sync. Yeah, because you level sync, all the heroics in the game, even the very first planetary ones, are still valuable. So that's kind of cool.
Exactly. Now, let's talk about heroic missions, the weekly heroic mission terminals, which again show all planets. You can get credits, XP, data crystals, lockboxes for them. The lockboxes will have gear that's relevant for your level. And as Chill just said, the level syncing comes in and means that you can go do any of those heroic on any planet at any level, assuming it's not above your load range, and you'll be level synced down to that planet. The example he gave, he took a level 60 Drummond Cuss, and he was leveled to level 18, which is the highest possible level to still gain stuff from being on Drummond Cuss. This applies to the entire planet, not just like heroic areas. It only affects your stats, your abilities, your passives, your utilities. All of that is unaffected. So it is only your stats that are reduced from a level 60s down to a level 18.
Right.
So they want to make sure you're high enough to not really be weak, so you can still basically solo the heroic 2+, and everything seems to be a heroic 2+ now. I didn't see any heroic 4s. So you can still sort of power your way through, but you will not just be able to breeze through it. So I suspect level sync is going to be a little controversial, because you cannot switch it off. So you go to a planet, you will be level synced, regardless of whether you want to or not.
I'm sort of happy about it. I understand that sometimes you just want to be high enough level, like if you're doing datacron hunting or something, you may not want to be bothered by getting aggroed on mobs and stuff like that. But for the most part, I mean, at least it keeps things interesting and it gives you a lot of options. So I'm pretty happy with it, and it's very cool. I think there's certainly that's an amazing amount of work they had to do to get that to work right. So it's going to be interesting to watch it in action. I'm also like, there's so many little details. Like there's that one datacron on Alderaan where the mobs are like the only ones on the planet that are abnormally high. Remember, they're like 10 levels higher than everywhere else. So they're going to have to do something about that, or else no one will be able to get to that datacron.
I like to say I'm sure they've thought of that.
Yeah,
We'll see. We'll see. I'm sure a few things like that will be tweaked.
I think there's something similar when it comes to the secret droid stuff. Obviously, when you go to those on lower level planets, it's like level 55 or something, so I assume it would level sync you to that as well.
Don't know.
That's right. There's secret droid areas that are like 50 and 55 and stuff. Yeah, that's right.
Most likely, they would just they would reduce the level of all of that, so it's equivalent to the planet. That would make sense, actually.
They'd almost have to.
Yeah. Something we skipped over. He talked about getting in and out of chapters in the Kotfi story, Knights of the Fallen Empire story. You could quite clearly see a play button up in your mission things. You click on that, it brings up a big window. We click launch, and you're into the story. But clearly, since he was just moving around on the fleet, he was in between story, but back on the fleet. So so it's pretty much as we speculated. If you can just leave the story and come back to the fleet, and everything is exactly the way it appears to have been previously, and then you can just launch back into it.
Yeah, it's a giant class instance, like when you're leveling, and it even works the same way with friends, where you basically, if they come with you, you control all of the story answers and so on, and the conversations and everything. They're just kind of along the ride for that sort of thing. So it really is just
spectator mode,
like
basically.
The spectator mode, yeah, exactly. So it really is just like it's just a giant class instance. So
I kind of wonder what this means for planets as well, because they have said that there are more planets in the game and there's side missions on them. So is that all that's going to be there? It's just some sort of side mission, and you just press the play button when you want to go to the next mission?
Don't know. I guess we'll find out. Alright, let's just quickly go through the rest. We're pretty much done with what was covered in the live stream. You talked about the performance improvements, but we already covered that. Your character's alliance, the details of that. Yes, Joel?
Just a couple of little quick things about stuff we've kind of passed up. The level syncing, even though you're leveled down, but you get all your passives and all your actives from your levels. It doesn't. It doesn't take away. Oh, okay. Well, I didn't hear you say that. Okay.
I did.
Yeah. It's that in itself is going to make it so that you're super powerful. I mean, if you're over leveled to an area. So
Yep.
the other thing is, I didn't hear you mention, but they reminded me of it in chat, and that's they went through all of the speeders and did a pass and tried to make it so that capes and so on won't clip anymore. So
Oh, I missed
hopefully,
that, actually.
That
yeah.
was
Cool.
nice, yeah.
So yeah, hopefully, for the most part, speeders won't have cape clipping issues.
Okay. They didn't tell us anything about our character's alliance, this whole new thing that they've added.
Yeah, they left that
And they'll be
vague on
revealing
purpose.
details around early access, around 20 October, so they very carefully kept away from that. They mentioned New York Community Cantina, which is happening soon, which Chill is going to, will be 4 hours, and they're going to be live streaming the cosplay contest,
Yeah.
which hopefully Chill will be participating in,
Yeah,
dressed
right.
as a Jawa.
Yeah,
Well, we'll see.
Like I can swing that.
Get your hotel bathrobe. Now, then he
a
did
bunch of brown dye.
He did a quick few questions from the chat in the last few minutes. No new PvP content. They're always prototyping stuff. So, but nothing in 4.0. 12 times XP is going away, but will be replaced by what they're doing now that require the planetary story arcs as well as class story. Level sync is everywhere.
Right. I assume that means, though, really only downward. I assume you can't go to a
Yeah.
higher
Correct.
level planet. in depth.
Correct.
Yeah.
XP for exploration missions is the same XP as before, so and presumably you can actually go back and do them at a later time and you'll still get level appropriate XP. So when you were level synced, anything you did on Drone Cast would all give you XP appropriate for your level. So in theory, if you're level like 55 to 60, you could go and do heroics on any planet, and because of the level syncing, you would actually get XP. Appropriate XP, you could probably level to 60 that way, or from 60 to 65 for that matter.
So if you were level 65 and you were at the max cap, would you get credits for those missions based on the experience you would have got?
I don't think SWTOR has ever done that.
Have they not? Oh.
No, in World of Warcraft you certainly do, but I don't think SWTOR has ever given you extra credits in lieu of XP. Probably because you were earning legacy XP as well, so it wasn't like wasted until you were legacy level 50, and then it was.
I don't know where I got that from then.
There's not going to be a legacy wallet, a legacy shared currency thing. That was the anti-gold credit farmer spammer thing. So they can't really do that, apparently. Presence will still work the same, boosting
That's nice.
the performance of your companion. So they did mention that your companion's affection, now known as influence, and it is just a name change, will also increase their combat effectiveness. So affection/influence will increase their combat effectiveness.
But presence still too. Nice. Okay.
And presence as well. Open world PvP is pretty much the same, no change there.
I will be interested to see how the level sync works with open world PvP. Because I guess everyone will be level synced down to that level. So
That's
does
true.
that mean there won't be like the OP max level characters?
Oh, that's true. Oh, wow.
It'll be interesting to see if that helps world PvP. It might.
Well, it's not like they get bolstered, so everyone's with all of their extra abilities will still be there. But you're right, the level disparity will not be there. So a smart, effective player. Yeah, interesting point. Really interesting.
Yeah. Especially if you get a hold of some expertise.
Yeah. He mentioned the Thexan armor from the Sacrifice trailer. Thexan's he will be coming out before Knights of the Fallen Empire launches.
How odd would that be if you go in with your Thexan armor and be like, yo, we've got the same outfit.
We go to the same tailor.
And finally, he mentioned that cartel market changes are coming. They're going to reorganize it somehow to make it easier to get what you want.
Right.
But didn't give us any details. So that's coming as well. Anything else you want to cover, guys? I mean, that took us a while to get through, but that's pretty much the meat of it.
Yeah, well...
No, I can't think of anything else. That's pretty much it.
Nothing we hadn't
it's
already
little-
sort of touched
couple
on
little
previously.
details. Yeah. Talk about my obsessiveness. I'm wondering about the Act Dog companion. Is that coming out like right away, or is that with 4.0? Did they mention?
Apparently they said it's coming out 4.0 in cartel packs.
In cartel packs, yeah.
In 4.01.
And it's not just that, there'll be other companions.
I know. I'll have to wait for it then, but I definitely want that one big time.
All right.
Little guys.
I'm looking at the time. Should we do Sith Inquisitor?
Yeah, just real quick. I just wanted to say that this is actually pretty impressive amount of just quality of life stuff. I mean, between whispering your guildmates and the cartel market, starting out already collapsed and being able to search on it, just all those little details. There's gonna be a lot of nice little things just to make the game play a little bit easier, a little bit nicer. It was kind of impressive. So I really thought there was a lot of good details coming out today.
Agreed. All right, and yeah, Musco did a great job. He was a real trooper, powering through that. Only took a brief break to get some water, but it was good stuff. Water.
People were saying.
Really vodka. Okay, let's quickly blow through the rest of the news because there wasn't much. SWOTOR Answers HQ. So, your customer support forum on the official forums, it's going away. In fact, it's moving to answers.ea.com, presumably under a SWOTOR section, which, from the way they described it, allows players to post questions and have other players answer them. It's all moderated, of course, but it will no longer be a forum, which I'm pretty meh about this. Don't care either way. It does mean that non-subs can now actually get support, because at the moment non-subs can actually, if you're not a subscriber, you cannot post on the forums, but you can use this answers thing. So
yeah, and I think the idea is that answers and so forth tend to be crowdsourced. So if you're having difficulties with this or that, there's presumably other players who can answer you, and it sort of lets the whole community in on it. It's kind of a nice idea. Hope it works well for them.
And I apologize in advance for those who like the forums, but honestly, I find so many people just posting just stupid crap, just for the sake of saying stuff, and it's a whole lot of noise, which I'm perfectly happy to live without. So no problem there.
I've often been told the forums is an evil place because people can be quite, well, let's just leave it at that.
Yep. Now, they did post the Sith Inquisitor and Jedi Consular class changes. We're going to talk about those next week, because it's not like there's much of a hurry. It's we don't get them until 4.0, so we'll cover that next week.
Okay.
Now, that'll just take us through down to community stuff. We'll just cover that briefly. Firstly, Zamzam has finally posted her blog about the lore stuff that we covered during the last spoiler cast. Vitiate Valkorion and the Zakul Empire Part 2. So take a look at that if you don't mind. She obviously can't be spoiling anything that's coming in Kotfi, but we did cover a lot of stuff about leading up to that. So interesting stuff there.
Very cool.
Patreon, thanks to our latest Utini patron, Born to Eat Bacon. Again, the coolest Twitter handle there is out there. So thank you, mate. And I did want to mention that if you want to support us through Patreon, just remember that when you subscribe for a certain amount, that amount is taken off each of our regular episodes. So if you put in for $1 a week, it'll be $1 per episode. That's $1 every time we publish one of our regular episodes. So we were sort of artificially pushed up to the 125 milestone goal due to someone just putting in for $8. And he took that away again, so we're back down to 118, I think, at the moment. So, yeah, okay. The 125 milestone goal has yet to be reached. If you want to find out more, go to patreon.com/OotiniCast, and all the details will be there. Now, we have a rating report from our guildmate, Suki, and he says, rating this week was good. We had a total of 13 people join in the fun. 3 operations completed and more achievements ticked off. The raid started with 16-man Story Mode Karagas Palace as our warm-up, then we were on to 16-man Nightmare Karagas Palace. The runs were smooth, no issues with our gear. Next we headed out to Dread Fortress. A few of the group had to drop out, so down to 8-man we went. This was the first time some of the team had seen Dread Fortress. Seen Dread Fortress. The first few bosses were nice, clean, and there were no real prompts required. The first deaths went to the exploding droids in the halls. How I remember those. The ones which get most people on their first run. This time, no one even pushed the droids onto people.
Right.
Yes, that's almost a hazing experience for the Dreads. Dread Fortress.
Yep.
Then it was on to Dreadmaster Brontes. After a quick chat about the fight, we headed in and forgot about the corrupted nanites and wiped. Yes. Then round 2, this time the lightning fingers got us. God. Yes. Round 3, fingers again. This time we dropped one more,
fight.
his brother Ort, and picked up Milo. Round 4, and Brontes was done. It's quite a... Yes, I do remember wiping on that any number of times, but anyway. So the team this week was Suki... Myanta, that was always brother Ort, Rigetti, Darklighter, Ivicarus, Kikidus, Keldor, Zykocal, Fiona, Alindre, Dread on Mara, DJ Red, Xanatia, and Milo. So, well done, guys. And that's the news. And my throat hurts.
Yeah. And when I was streaming, I actually saw Fiona on... I was on Republic character, and she was on... Utini Rage Empire character, so that was fun. Anyway, we're on to the Force Feedback, where we read out your tweets and emails, and chat room. If you have any questions to ask, we'll be gathering them now to answer once we're done with the feedback. Ari wrote in, it's also coming up on OotiniCast's 4th year of podcasting at SWOTOR, where Chill and Tio have consistently released an episode every week. That's
it's hard
true.
to believe, isn't it? Nearly 4 years.
Wow.
We actually started 19th November 2011. So, and yes, one episode every week. And geez, are we tired. Yes, anyway.
All right. Knight wrote in, hey guys, hope you're having a great insert applicable period of time here. I had an awesome idea. You should get BioWare to alter the packs you award the tip winners so they always have a chance to drop Jawograms no matter what pack it is. That would be nice. Maybe I'll get lucky when I get my packs and it'll glitch and I'll get nothing but Jawograms. Hope you're having fun and I'll see you around on the Harbinger.
A good idea, but somehow I don't think they'll come to the party on that one. Good thought, though.
Yeah. Actually, that's something they could do. They could have like just a sort of a Jawa-themed set of packs. That would be kind of cool. Not just the Jawograms, but just in general, like name them after them, and maybe a little Jawa comes out when you open the pack, that sort of thing. Sir Salisbury wrote, something you might want to cover on your next show is the voice actor strike that will likely affect Kotfi Season 2 and Ops, because if the voice actors strike long enough, it could push back the release of new content by a lot.
Yeah, I did read up on this a bit. They hadn't actually started striking last time I read. They were just sort of leading in that direction.
Right.
And yes, it could. And
yeah,
well, all we can do is hope not. Otherwise, we're going to have a whole lot of stuff introduced on mission terminals.
Yeah, that's true. It's the right, exactly. Yeah, there's that is, there's the upside to SWOTOR is you get to hear everyone talk, but the downside is you actually have to have voice actors, and if they're on strike, yeah, that could be a problem. All right, well, we'll keep an eye on that issue, I guess. James wrote in, I'm wondering if you can help me with the below issue. I seem to be missing one Datacron, but I can't seem to work out which one it is. I've got the Republic Plus 10 Datacron as well, though I don't believe this shows in the Codex. The only way I can seem to prove this is when clicking on the blue crystal in the Republic Museum. It tells me I don't need to use this right now, that's how you figure it out, yes. Yep. I don't have Excel on my PC, so I can't use the Datacron spreadsheet. I was wondering if you guys had any ideas to my missing Datacron, which is ultimately stopping me getting the title and decoration.
Now, firstly, I'll just mention that if you don't have Excel, don't have Microsoft Office, you can download LibreOffice which is for free and will load Excel spreadsheets just fine.
Right.
But as to his specific problem, it turned out he'd only got... I actually went through his list, and he's shown us a screen... He sent me screenshots of his codex entries. He'd got all of the codex entries and all of the Datacrons on the Republic side. But unfortunately for Datacron Master, you need the ones that are specific on the Imp side as well. That is on the Imperial versions of Taris and Balmorra, and on Hassa, Droman Cuss,
right,
and Korriban.
Korriban, yeah. Awesome.
Yep. So once I let him know that, he did go through and get the Imp side, and is now a Datacron Master.
Very
so
nice.
Congratulations.
Yep, that takes a while. I have not gotten that one yet. Although, like I said, because of the way they're going to be making it easier to figure stuff out, I'm going to plan on working that in the expansion. Well, partly from the way they made it easier to work things out, but also just the fact that it'll be legacy, so I'll just have to do them once and then be done with it. That was because that was a major sticking point for me. Right, Kelly wrote, just listening to the Coalition number 9 show and thinking back to some of the conversations you guys have had. If you think about companions as voice actors and forget the game / lore and emotions, 8 classes times 5 voice actors is 45 people to pay. 5 shared companions for everybody is another 5 voice actors to pay. Lana and a couple other new companions are the only ones who will say anything during story or have any interactions at all from now on. The old companions, you can go back and get them for helping you kill trash if you really liked them and were desperate to have them back, but they can be killed off because they are no more than a skin now. The story will make them obsolete. But that's kind of true. But you will have the option to go back to pick 1 or 2 back up if you want. It might be a quest, but more likely it'll be a terminal or something where you just activate or deactivate them as needed. I believe if you want to enjoy the story with a companion that is more than just moving furniture or decoration, you will need to use the new ones from here on out. It's all about logistics and money. 45 voice actors is not sustainable. 5 voice actors is.
Particularly if they're on strike.
Yeah. Prepare for all your companions to die if a lot of people go on strike.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why do all the new companions sound like Musco doing falsetto?
Oh boy. Or they're all droids. Or they all speak alien languages. Yep.
Yeah. Well, it's true. And then just the logistics of keeping all those companions relevant in all those different stories, from now on is pretty hard to sustain anyway. So, I think Kelly's basically on the right track. Dune and I wrote in, I just got back from visiting family in the UK, and while in Edinburgh, I stumbled across this clone trooper wearing a kilt. A Scottish clone trooper, you say? Would that be a scone trooper? To top it off, just before I rounded the corner and saw this guy, I caught the tail end of Darth Vader playing the bagpipes while riding a unicycle. I wasn't quick enough with the camera, so I'll leave it to your imagination. Yes.
Oh, God.
Well, actually, you don't have to leave that to your imagination. I'm sure if you Google it, you can find it, because there's a similar guy right here in Portland, Oregon, who does that. He dresses up as Vader, he rides a unicycle, and plays the bagpipes. And he's well known for doing it, and I'm sure there's plenty of pictures. So,
yeah. Well, I'll include his picture of the Scone Trooper in the show notes.
Yes. That's a funny one. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Nice.
Blay wrote in, don't panic, this is way too big for a tip of the week, but I know you're in a raid team just to show there's more to do in the game with guildmates than raiding. I organized a guild event to kill world bosses. Most of these bosses can be soloed, but where's the fun in that? I've done this spreadsheet and it would be sad. It would be sad if I'm the only person who gets to use it, and there is a link in the show notes. I'm sending it out to a few people who enjoy the game as much as I do, with the hope they can use it to have as much fun as I did.
I will link that in our show notes. So, in fact, I'll probably put it in our sidebar on OotiniCast.com. So it's pretty good.
Very nice. Joshua wrote in, we just did EV Nightmare. That's which one's
Eternity Vault.
Eternity Vault, right. Eternity Vault Nightmare with the invisible platforms. Oh, yes, so on the Soa boss. After
Yep.
3 tries, we successfully made it down by looking for the yellow energy objects, which were on most of them, and memory of timing and positions on the others. Garge was also bugged with no paths between the islands. Ooh, yeah, that's a lot of lava damage.
Yeah, I'm
Although
not
I
looking
think-
forward to going back into that.
Yeah, I think it's still sort of level dependent. I think if you're over leveling it, the lava damage is kind of survivable, but it gets pretty nasty.
Oh, people will die if they forget. I know people have been like looking at the gear or whatever and
Yes.
just die because they're standing in the lava. You've been way over leveled. Yep.
Yep. Kodo wrote in, I'm not sure if you remember me, but I used to be in the guilds and also followed along with the show for a long time, but got burnt out and played different things. But now I'm back to SWTOR after watching all the Star Wars movies again last week. Got me back in the mood. There you
It will
go.
have that effect. Yep.
Yep. I listened to the show from 2 weeks ago to today, so first thing I'll say is congratulations to Tio on becoming a dad.
Thank you, mate.
Nice. How's that going, Tio? Has she started sleeping at night at all?
I don't want to talk about it at this time.
Okay. Fair enough. The other thing I discovered when I started playing, wow, it is a lot different. Not so much how you play, but the entire leveling process and the skill trees and the like. It really confused me for a while, and I may have to do some research on how to best set up each of the characters. Looks like I'm also going to have to work on leveling my 55 bounty hunter to 60, so I have at least 160 when the new X-Pack is launched, which unfortunately is 2 days after I leave for a vacation to the USA for 6 weeks, so a good chance I will not be playing a lot during that time anyway. Anyway, just a brief note to say hi, and good to see you still doing the show. Might even see about rejoining the guild, even though I'm back to being a noob with all the changes. Good luck and have fun always. Thanks, Kodo. Nice to have you
And nothing
back.
wrong with being a noob. Kodo's a fellow Australian, by the way. So enjoy your time in the US.
Yeah. That's right, 6 weeks. That's nice.
I know, I'm jealous.
It's a good long time, yeah. Right. I'd be interested in hearing where you go. Alex of the Geek Podcast wrote in, man, I didn't think speeders were this powerful. I was distracted by a nearby Thranta and suddenly, whoosh, I was up above the clouds.
So it's on Alderaan, obviously, and it's bizarre.
Yeah.
You took the
He's
screenshot.
above the
It's-
treetops. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. I know there's that really high platform on Alderaan.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that big structure, which I presume
Yeah.
you can drive off.
Yeah.
But that's presumably not what he was doing. So,
I don't think so. It doesn't look like quite the right spot.
Yeah, so that's really weird. Can't explain it.
That is weird. All right. Let's see.
That's pretty
Is
much
there
it.
Anything else?
Now,
I
do we
didn't
have any
notice any questions? I mean, I know some for the actual cantina, but I'm talking about like I didn't notice any questions for the show.
Yep.
Right now, and with
Me
no.
either.
Yep, and looks like no Sarlacc Digest, so that's a show. If you'd like to play with us in the Utini Knights Guild on the Republic side of the Harbinger server, or in our Guild
Charlie.
on the Empire
Charlie.
side, do a /C join Utini to join the Utini channel. Then ask for the quiz that lets us know you're a fan of the show. You can email questions and comments about the show to OotiniCast@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter using @OotiniCast. You can find contact details for all of us on our website, OotiniCast.com, which includes how to subscribe to us using iTunes, Stitcher, and the rest. We record the show live every Wednesday at 4:30 p.m. Pacific. Go to OotiniCast.com/live to find out how to join in. Our theme song is from Mevio's Music Alley. Check it out at music.mevio.com. That's M-E-V-I-O. And thank you to the chat room, and thank you, Charlie Karanatoko. How you
Thank
doing,
very
Charlie?
much.
Thanks for coming. And we'll see you next week.
All right, keep recording. Charlie.
Oh, okay. I was going to do it, but I thought, no, I won't do it. But yeah, this time it's going to be a very croaky one, but that's to be expected. I was actually going to purposely try and make a croaky as well. Utini rage. No, I'll just do. Yeah. Yeah.
That's great. I might play with some voice modulation on that one, but we'll
please
see.
do.
That would be funny, actually, yeah.
Yeah. All right. That's pretty much it, guys. It's actually not as long as it could have been, but I've still got that interview, which I completely failed to publish this week because it's just taking forever for me to edit. That's the one that Chill and I did with that old person, not old person, but person from our community. So, but anyway, that should be out this week, hopefully. But anyway, we'll be back next week, and hopefully with a bit more Kotfi news. So have a good week, guys. We'll see you next time.
Yeah.
OBS.